Are you doing it?
What if he gets what if Nate and Conor gets 3 million pay-per-views?
It's not out of the question.
It's not.
It's a stretch, but not out of the question.
It's a stretch. But if Nate can talk the right amount of shit, and people get excited about it. Honestly, right now, for Conor, what else is there that's even close?
As far as fight?
In MMA?
Well,
what else is even close?
The only argument is you can say Conor's the only draw. He can fight Billy from Afghanistan and still get 2 million pay-per-view buys or break a million.
Nate Diaz is already training as if his name were bolded on the White House card, even though no opponent or contract has been revealed. The grind is loud even if he isn't. Long rounds, sharp boxing, relentless conditioning, and experts are starting to take notice, pointing out that this doesn't look like a nostalgia run, but a serious return. Diaz appears to be focused on one thing as the attention and rumors mount, being prepared for whoever takes his place when the sport's biggest stage calls again.
I think the answer is very obvious. I think we would all rather see Conor McGregor versus Nate Diaz 3. Of course, they are 1-1. The rubber match needs to happen. And if it doesn't happen in the UFC, maybe it happens down the line when they're out the UFC and they're both in the 50s, right? That fight needs to happen at some point in a car park, in a pub, in a restaurant, or better yet, at the White House in the UFC's octagon. That would be a fight that we all want to see, and I think it kind of needs to happen. Anyway, so that's what Nate Diaz should be targeting. That's what he should be talking about, saying, never mind Michael Chandler, man. I can't do a Nate Diaz impression, right? He should say, never mind Michael Chandler. He's lost his last few fights. We're 1-1. Let's go. Let's do it at the Oval Office, on the White House lawn, wherever the fight's going to take place, right? That's what they should be called.
Although Nate Diaz is still in good shape and regularly trains, Joe Rogan pointed out that at this point a huge payout is obviously being discussed, particularly since a White House card is near. He clarified that Nate brings his own devoted audience and enthusiasm to every event, so he doesn't depend on his opponent's attention. Rogan attributed Diaz's star power to his unfiltered honesty and unapologetic demeanor, which fans truly identify with. For this reason, if the White House stage ever materializes for him, his name will immediately make it seem larger.
The tank.
I'm sure. I mean, they're obviously not out of shape. They're both thin.
Yeah.
They look like they're fit. I see them training. I see, pictures of them with jiu-jitsu gis on and hitting the bag and shit. It's, who knows, man? I mean, it's also like they want that big payday, especially now, and they should get that big payday. But goddamn, if I was the UFC...
You pay them?
Fuck yeah. I think those guys are superstars. I think the UFC doesn't know. I think one of the reasons why Nate Diaz versus Conor McGregor was so big is because people love Nate Diaz too. It's not just Conor McGregor.
No doubt. No doubt.
If Conor McGregor, no disrespect to Eddie Alvarez, but when Conor McGregor fought Eddie Alvarez, the vast majority of the eyes were on Conor McGregor.
Yeah.
When Conor McGregor fights Nate Diaz, you're looking at a lot of people who love Nate Diaz.
Yeah. But how do you think that happened? Like, how do you think Nate got that star power? You think it's like his attitude?
Fuck. He legitimately doesn't give a fuck. He smokes weed all the time. People love it. They love the...
And then Din Thomas went on to say that the Diaz brothers' fighting style makes them one of the few fighters who can compete successfully later in their careers. He emphasized that their style is based on technique, tenacity, and unwavering endurance, rather than explosive athleticism. Thomas thinks that strategy enables them to prolong their lifespan because they rely more on skill and cardio than on speed or physical advantages, and he assumes they still have plenty to give inside the cage.
I mean, honestly, if anybody could still fight in their old age, the way the Diaz brothers fight, their style will allow them to fight longer.
Yeah.
Because they're not like the best athletes. So they rely on skill and just
endurance.
Endurance, yeah. So like they can fight longer. So I'm assuming that they still have something left in.
On the other hand, Dana White made it clear that he has a lot of respect for Nate Diaz, but emphasized that finalizing a fight with him is rarely straightforward. He explained that fans often assume the UFC can simply lock in a matchup, yet the reality is more complicated because Nate tends to push for high-profile or unexpected opponents, which can stall progress. When it comes to building a potential White House card, Dana suggested that while Nate's name adds major value, actually structuring the right deal and opponent behind the scenes is where things become difficult.
I care about Nate a lot. I like Nate, but getting a fight done with him isn't easy as it seems. Everybody's like, well, why don't you make a fight? Well, why don't you make a fight? Well, he asked for Francis Ngannou, and I could go on.
Adding to this, Dana White brushed off talk of a Conor McGregor vs. Jorge Masvidal fight at the White House card, labeling the rumors as nonsense and pointing out that much of what circulates online about MMA is misleading. Even his own social media feeds show little of it. By comparison, speculation around Nate Diaz's return feels more legitimate. His prep, loyal following, and history in big fights give real substance to the conversation, making it one of the few matchups fans can actually get excited about.
You've heard the new talk is that Conor McGregor, Jorge Masvidal could be a potential.
No,
What's your thoughts? Oh, you haven't heard this?
No.
This is the biggest thing on social media now. Everyone's talking, that Chandler's out and Masvidal's in, and it's Conor and Masvidal.
You know what's funny? So in my algorithm on Instagram, I have nothing MMA.
Right?
Literally nothing MMA pops
Oh,
up.
mine's politics. That's my...
Yeah, mine's definitely. There's some politics, but yeah, I don't listen to any of the goofy.
No.
No.
Is that considered goofy?
That's goofy shit. Yeah. The MMA world, I don't listen to any of that shit. So literally none of that is on my algorithm. So people say, oh, did you hear?
You ever heard? He's like, I believe you. He's not heard about that. It's funny. You type in one of their names too, and that's all people seem to be talking
Literally,
about.
Almost everything you see on the internet about our sport is wrong.
It's not real.
It's all wrong. Yeah.
Fans have been waiting for the trilogy, and Michael Bisping says it's clear. Nate Diaz versus Conor McGregor III is the fight that needs to happen. With both holding a win each, the rubber match isn't just overdue, it's inevitable. Bisping imagines it on the grandest stage possible, even joking about a showdown on the White House lawn, and insists this is exactly the kind of high-profile clash Nate should be aiming for, the one that would truly set the MMA world buzzing. If it happens, it won't just be a fight, it will be a cultural moment, the kind of showdown fans remember for years.
I think the answer is very obvious. I think we would all rather see Conor McGregor versus Nate Diaz 3. Of course, they are 1-1. The rubber match needs to happen. And if it doesn't happen in the UFC, maybe it happens down the line when they're out the UFC and they're both in the 50s, right? That fight needs to happen at some point in a car park, in a pub, in a restaurant, or better yet, at the White House in the UFC's octagon. That would be a fight that we all want to see, and I think it kind of needs to happen. Anyway, so that's what Nate Diaz should be targeting. That's what he should be talking about. Saying, never mind Michael Chandler, man. I can't do a Nate Diaz impression, right? He should say, never mind Michael Chandler. He's lost his last few fights. We're 1-1. Let's go. Let's do it at the Oval Office, on the White House lawn, wherever the fight's going to take place, right? That's what they should be called.
Building on that idea, Michael Bisping zooms out to the bigger picture. If Nate Diaz steps back into the octagon and Conor McGregor truly returns, he sees no reason to hesitate. That trilogy is the fight to make. Their rivalry already ranks among the most iconic in UFC history, and putting it on a White House card would instantly raise the stakes for the entire event, especially with other major matchups on the lineup. For Bisping, it's more than just promotion. McGregor doesn't need another fight, but the drive to compete never fades, and that chance for one more defining moment makes his presence on a historic card feel almost inevitable.
To see it if Nate Diaz was to come back. But if he was, and if Conor McGregor does actually make it back, I think that's the fight to make all day long. The one-on-one, there were some of the biggest fights in UFC history. Nate Diaz versus Conor McGregor at the White House would be absolutely insane. It probably will have Tom Aspinall versus John Jones in the main event. It probably will have Conor McGregor versus someone, Michael Chandler or Nate Diaz, in the co-main event. So that just kind of sets the tone for how big that card would be. What do you think? Do you think Conor McGregor will actually make it back? Of course, he hasn't fought since 2021, right? It's going to be 5 years since he last fought. I, for one, fair play to the guy. Fair play, man. Respect. He doesn't need to do this. He doesn't need to come back. He's got lots of other avenues and ways to make money. But fighting is something that never leaves you, okay? It's a part of who you are. It's in your DNA. It's part of your soul. And he wants to come back and he wants to get his hands raised in victory. Of course, he wants to come back and be a part of that.
Whereas MMA Guru shifted the lens to timing and context, emphasizing the fan's perspective. He noted that the next must-see fight depends on Nate Diaz actually returning and making a statement with a major welterweight victory. Only then would a trilogy with McGregor truly capture attention on a White House card. While hardcore fans are currently debating potential matchups like Masvidal or Glover Teixeira, many insiders, including Ariel Helwani, are quietly leaning toward Diaz versus McGregor as the next show-stealing bout.
Because that's not the fight I want to see next, okay? If Nate Diaz comes back and gets a big win over someone in the welterweight division, okay? And he does it impressively, and then the McGregor fight happens. That's when I'm interested. But right now, I feel like the hardcore fans are kind of in mutual agreement that it's Masvidal or Gaethje. To us, it's kind of Masvidal or Gaethje, and for Chael Sonnen and Ariel Helwani to both say that they think Nate Diaz trilogy should be next is strange to me. Very strange to me, because I would love to see either Gaethje or Masvidal. I feel like everyone's in agreement here. We've seen that Donald Cerrone has been beaten by Conor McGregor in his return at UFC 2.
Then Ben Askren shook things up with a bold take on Nate Diaz's legacy. He suggested that despite all the hype and fan devotion, Diaz is really just an average fighter who has marketed himself as elite. Pointing to his modest record in the UFC and elsewhere, Askren framed Diaz's reputation as more image than results, and warned that calling it out publicly could ignite a major social media firestorm. Whether fans agree or not, Askren's opinion is sure to stir conversation throughout the MMA community, and it adds another layer of intrigue to any potential White House showdown involving Diaz.
No, listen, Nate Diaz, he is the most puzzling. He's not. I don't even think he's that good. I'll go get his record if you want me to. But he has convinced people he is good at fighting somehow, some way.
He's pretty good.
I'm gonna go get his damn record, Daniel. It's not.
But he won the Ultimate Fighter. He won the Ultimate Fighter. I'm saying he was good for the time that he was fighting.
No, he wasn't. He was average.
He was. Yeah. Okay. I'm just
okay.
trying.
I'm gonna go get the record. I'm gonna go get the record. They're gonna yell at me. I know this. Okay. Let's see. Well, his record is 21-13.
Oh my God. Really?
Yes, that's not that great.
Okay, I take it back. I'm taking it back.
And he was going into the UFC, he was, I think it was 5-1. So within the UFC, he was 16-12.
That's not good.
That's not very good.
That's not good. There's really no way to twist that into good.
Yeah. So but you know, his personality, that's another one's like, how did his personality catch on? He says funny things sometimes. He's a little bit different. I don't know. Yeah. And listen, if you post this clip, please don't post this clip because the Diaz army will attack me.
On the topic of who might be on the card, Chael Sonnen broke down the lineup and star power shaping the White House card, starting with Michael Chandler. Sonnen is confident Chandler will be featured, with possible matchups including Benoit Saint Denis, a rematch with Dan Hooker, or even a quick turnaround BMF bout, though the latter seems less likely given the short timeline. He also highlighted Ilia Topuria as a major international draw and suggested that Alex Pereira, currently unbooked, would likely be added to the card as well. According to Sonnen, the combination of these big names ensures the event will have real star power on both the domestic and global stage.
I'm telling you, the most confident guy that I believe is going to fight is Michael Chandler. Who's he going to fight? I think that Benoit Saint Denis is possible. I think that a rematch with Dan Hooker is possible. I think there's a chance of a quick turnaround with the BMF, but I don't know how bullish I am just because that turnaround would be so quick. But I am very confident that Chandler's going to be on there. I will tell you, Alex Pereira, if you want to know the sport's biggest stars, you've got Alex Pereira and Sean O'Malley that are battling for the top spot for 2 years now, but from what we're told, Ilia Topuria is a massive star, particularly internationally. So now that you've got the return of Ilia Topuria, it would seem as though you would use your big star over there. It would also seem with Alex Pereira, since he's not booked, that he would be placed on.
Sonnen wrapped up his predictions for the White House card by calling for both Ilia Topuria and Alex Pereira to be featured on the same lineup. He believes pairing these two stars will generate major excitement and emerge as the standout news from the event, giving fans a clear glimpse of the high-stakes matchups to expect. Sonnen hinted that with names like these, the card could easily become one of the most talked about events in recent UFC history.
I do think you're going to get Ilia and you're going to get Pereira on the same card. I think that's going to be exciting. I think that's going to be the news that comes out of this meeting.
On the other hand, Demetrius Johnson thinks Islam Makhachev has the perfect chance to make history by taking on Ilia Topuria at the White House card and retiring at the peak of his career, following in Khabib's footsteps. Johnson sees Islam as a dominant force capable of beating Topuria decisively, turning the matchup into a career-defining finale that cements his legacy and style. For fans, it's the kind of high-stakes showdown that promises fireworks and a historic finish.
I didn't think Islam was going to be able to, I didn't think Islam is small for 170. I've seen him in person. I've trained with him. He's a big fucking dude. And who would Islam fight next at 170? You know what? I think Islam is destined for, he should fight Ilia Topuria at the White House. If he beats Ilia Topuria, he retires. Islam has plenty of money, right? Go out on your shield like Khabib did. A lot of people in MMA don't want to see that, but in mixed martial arts, us athletes, we stay too long at the party. There's no reason for an athlete to continue to come into the head and all that stuff. If I was him, fight Ilia Topuria at the White House. You beat Ilia Topuria, walk away. I'm sure he made another one. That shit probably goes as far as fucking Russia, so there's no point for him to keep on fighting.
Moving on to who else is aiming for the White House card. Sean O'Malley isn't holding back about what he sees as the fight that truly matters. While he acknowledges Merab deserves a title shot on merit, O'Malley insists that a White House showdown with Petr Yan is the matchup that makes the biggest splash. He frames it as a high-stakes, all-American clash, a fight that not only excites fans but also gives him the chance to represent the country on the sport's biggest stage. For O'Malley, it's more than just a fight, it's the kind of moment that could define his career. What's your take on how the White House card is shaping up? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to hit subscribe for all the latest updates.